Well, later. This is Cameron. I'm one of the cousins. Pick him up. And this is Frank. This is Cameron. Yeah. This is Frank. This is Cameron. He's great. Okay. You're still in it. Okay, very good.
No. I'm gonna make another song. I'm gonna make another song.
Oh, you're supposed to make eyes, and then that is not.
They're doing great.
Oh yeah.
Just for you.
Oh yeah.
No, only a couple of varieties. Maybe a third.
They're grandma's. Yes.
Color all over.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right. This is the.
Oh, you put your daddy's name on it.
No, I didn't.
You did that.
Oh, my grandma.
Probably your grandma did because that's where he's supposed to sit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened the last time I was here on Day 3. Sorry.
Good? Okay.
Curtis, the grad school. I knew who you are, but I knew where his school was. Strategically placed.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not sure if the microphone's on, and hopefully you can hear me. I promise you won't be on the camera. Do I need it up closer? Is that better? No?
I don't think it's on.
It is on.
It's on? Oh, okay. Well, I know this crowd and my cousins. Quiet is not an option, so.
In other words, I don't need it.
Loud and East Coast seem to go together. So, anyway, my mom and our family really appreciate everyone coming today. We're trying our best to celebrate the life of my dad, our father, our husband, grandfather, great-grandfather. They promise that they have practice in here, so they know exactly how to handle volume, which is there is no volume control if you don't know on bagpipes. But my dad was born in Holton, Maine, August 8th in 1936, which was, they say, towards the end of the Depression, but most people that lived through it know that that was in the thick of it. His dad and mom basically moved around. His dad was a U.S. Customs agent, and so they lived in New England. And his main hometown was Alburgh, Vermont. And for some reason, Alburgh used to have an H. Then it disappeared when I was growing up, and recently they added the H back. So Alburgh ends in GH. In high school, Dad was four-sport athlete. His actual letters are back on the table back there. He only wanted to do basketball and track and baseball, but I think his sophomore year, they got a new athletic director, coach who coached all the sports, and basically said you can't do basketball unless you do cross country. And if those that know my dad knows, he ran until very close to the end. He ran everywhere. He ran the Boston Marathon in 1955, finished 55th. If you listen to him, if you look at the records, it might have been 56. But I did notice that he was in the top 25% because there was only 201 racers for that race that year versus nowadays. He went to Norwich University, basically had some of a scholarship, but had to kind of pay his own way, worked through college. He talked about milking cows at a nickel a cow, and that, if you don't know, you milk cows twice a day, morning and night, and he did that. He worked at a gas station through Christmas Eve. I want to say senior, might have been his junior year, so he could buy his engagement ring for my mom, for his wife-to-be. From those small beginnings, he had three options. He could have gone back to be a surveyor at the Department of Highways in Vermont. Even though he was graduating as a civil engineer, they said, nope, you don't qualify as an engineer yet, so you have to wait and work as a surveyor. While he was doing that for some summer work there, he had a job offer, which I always told him he made the mistake. He should have gone there. It was National Forest at Lake Tahoe, California. I thought that would have been the place to be. However, he and Mom decided to come to Juneau, Alaska. And they came here right after statehood. Been here 66 years. And I had the fortune, and my brother had the fortune of being born here and growing up here. And Juneau is an amazing place and has been just an amazing place for my parents. And Dad loved Alaska. And all the things you see manager as this facility was being constructed, ended up on special projects here. He's most proud of the scientific stuff
president or had some office. I think he was probably secretary then. But anyway, he coached me through all the offices. He went through all the offices, and I got to follow him. And let's see, I became president a year after they got the award for the Alaska pipeline. And I forget, I didn't have much to make an award for. But Sandy also provided halibut for the civil engineers picnic for years. That was another one of his generous things. Let me see if I can leave out one more story. I don't know, how many of you have been to Sandy's cabin? Okay. Sandy, I got to go down there with Sandy to on a king salmon run one time and another deer hunting trip one time. Never got any deer or any salmon, but I was down there other times. And one of the things was Sandy always had lots of food, and he'd have breakfast cereal and oatmeal and coffee in a tub, keep the mice out. And then he did all the cooking, and there was not much space between the table and the stove. So, but he was pretty good at orders. So we'd work around the edges, doing whatever he said. And one of the highlights, or one of the things that happened, was it was a free range mouse pasture. The mice could come out as, not the same speed they went in. But in the tour on the inside, you'd go to bed and there'd be a mouse running across your sleeping bag. And then there'd be another one running across the hairline of your head, except he slipped off mine. And pretty soon you get used to the rustling. And then one would decide to take a deep dive off the side of the dish pan that had the dishwater in it, and they'd start swimming laps. And you'd have to wait till the poor thing drowned before he could get back to sleep. And he had a partner there the next morning too. Anyway, there have been a lot of great memories, and I'm sure each of you got some other stories on this too. But I appreciate the privilege of being able to come talk with you, my friends.
So I would, next speaker is part of the A team going out to the cabin the last 20 years. So Dick has some good stories about meeting Sandy and joining him out there. Took some of my cousins and some of my hunting buddies from down in Washington out. Been out many a time. And as Dad would say, oh, they never catch halibut out there at all, right?
I know some of you, but not all of you, Vic Winters. So Sandy was a dear friend. Sorry if I read, but I think that's what I'll do. We met while he was visiting long-term friends at the Department of Transportation. As you might guess, his first questions of me were, do you hunt? And two, would you care to join me on a hunt at my cabin on Swan Island? I said yes to both and enjoyed his friendship for the next 25 years. Sandy had a passion for staying close with family and long-term friends, while also befriending new people. He was a matchmaker, getting people with shared interests together, often resulting in enduring friendships. I certainly benefited from that. Sandy was a historian and an oracle of Alaska engineering, hunting, fishing, gardening, and general community building and development. His shared knowledge provided valuable insights as the hows and the whys of our great state of Alaska. Sandy stayed up to the minute with current events, news, weather, sports, people, but he was definitely old school. When I showed up at the Ward Air for Swan Island cabin trip at the agreed upon time, I found him a bit agitated. I learned that in Sandy's thinking, if you weren't 15 minutes early, you were late. So we worked around that. Sandy had a sharp mind and was good with numbers. He loved to provide instructions for calculating exact elevations throughout tide cycles, the rule of 12s, or scoring card games, hearts, for example, or others, or cribbage. He kept extensive detailed lists and budgets all the time and provided a good example of how to organize things big and small. And he organized an awful lot of things in this community. Nothing was too small and nothing was too big. Sandy taught me many things over the past 2.5 decades. In some ways, he was like my second father. He made my life better, and I will miss his guiding hand and companionship. His legend will live on in the many interesting and funny stories, Sandy stories, to be shared by his friends and family in the future. I will keep him close in my memories. So, thank you.
Thank you, Vic. Sorry, I'm reading a note from our tech person. Next up is Tammy. And Debbie is coming too for support. And I am going to do an audible after they're done. We have another nephew that sent a note, some words he'd like to share. So I'm going to do that. He's in South Africa, so with work.
That's a little different.
With work right now.
That's a little further than Vermont or North Carolina, like some of us. I really don't need a mic. I have the Baker inoculation, as they call it. I'm going to go along with a lot of. I'm going to tell you the uncle side of Uncle Sandy, but it's a lot like Uncle Sandy all the way around. This is kind of out of place. Talk about I got to talk about the food. Imagine being in a house with 50 people at tables eating salmon that Aunt Suzanne had cooked and Uncle Sandy had caught, all for people that he knew back in Vermont, in Alberg. The other time was I got a shipment of salmon myself, about the time my husband died when I was trying to lose weight. And he thought that would be good food for me. It didn't work, as you can see, but stress eat, boy, I stress eat. Okay, so now we'll go on to my list. My first memories of Uncle Sandy is sitting in the old house we used to live in that was a block cabin, kind of like, and had slides of the earthquake in Anchorage. He was there for that. He was there. And for us, that was like so exotic, what he was doing. Throughout all of this, I want to say too that he and mom is his sister, they've always been tight. They've been tight since they were little kids. So we always knew what was going on, even if we weren't there all the time. The next thing I'm going to talk about is visits to Alaska. 3 of us got to come up here for summers. I was the first one because I am number 1, the oldest. Debbie's number 5. Number 2's there. Number 4's there. We lost number 3. Number 6 couldn't make it. I had the most wonderful time. It was a thing that really formed a lot of my life, both Aunt Suzanne and Uncle Sandy. They were in Barron Avenue at that time. So that's why I remember the explosion thing, man. He'd come back to the house so excited because of what he had done. But it was so free. I rode a bike to the library. I went fishing in a salmon derby and caught a fish that was taller than me. I mean, it was so cool. But we want to talk about fishing. When my brother came for a trip up here, he had a brand new boat and managed to hit a reef and tear out the whole lower unit. That must have been an interesting thing to see. Nope, didn't get a fish there. Okay. So I also remembered there was a biologist, marine biologist that I did a lot of talking to down the road there. Oh, God, so much fun here. The next thing I'm going to talk about, I was in high school. Needed to do a special report for science and English. Uncle Sandy comes through with this huge envelope about wildlife in Alaska. I got an A+ on that report. I mean, I knew everything about every different kind of salmon, every different kind of bear. Yep. Then I worked at the school that he and Mom went to high school at. It was no longer a high school. I was school food service manager. And like he liked to do whenever he came to visit us, he would try to make sure he got to see everybody. Well, I was at work, so he come see me at work. I took him for a tour of the school. He wanted to see how it changed. Well, I went to one of the classrooms, and he walks in, and I cannot remember if it was Alaska they were talking about or some kind of engineering, because I'll be darned, that man stood there and for 15 minutes did a lecture to those kids in that classroom. It was so neat. And they're like looking, wow, you know, I was pretty famous for a little while after that. I've got an uncle from Alaska, right? Okay, now we're going to go on with Rick again. Talked about him playing cribbage. Rick could never beat him. Never beat him. Now, I'm not real good about cribbage, so I might say this wrong. But Rick was 28 points ahead of him and in the nut hole. Uncle Sandy got to count first and actually drew a perfect hand and beat him. Yes. Well, you know how competitive he was about his cribbage. Well, I moved to North Carolina, and Aunt Suzanne and Uncle Sandy come to visit us. Big hunter. My husband hated turtles in his pond. Well, there's Uncle Sandy with the binoculars and my husband with the gun, and there Uncle Sandy's sighting for him, and they're shooting turtles out of my pond. Then Aunt Suzanne sent me recipes for turtle soup. Yes, there's a lot of good stuff there. Debbie, we had to go visit her. She was actually at the house. She does our tree cutting and everything at the house. She was out tree cutting, and Uncle Sandy, said, what's up? And, I'm cutting trees. Off goes his shirt, and he says, well, let's get this done. And he's helping her cut the trees. Then, 2 years ago, Debbie and I came to visit. And I'm so grateful I was here to see him one more time. Cannot tell you how soothing it was for me, because it's still fairly fresh losing my husband. The peacefulness up here and everything. Yeah, it was a good time. Debbie was with me. Did a lot of traveling. This is where we found out you cannot get lost up here. You just go around in circles and you will find it. And we have done that many times this trip. We also decided to go to a few of his diner haunts. We went to Donna's. And Debbie had to tell us about how she came, because she came up before with my nephew. They went out for the breakfast with the boys. So the boys were all around one table, and they made her sit over in the corner. She could not be at the table with the boys. Yeah. But it still was a good thing. They could visit with everybody. So that's my story of my Uncle Sandy. Pretty much a lot of what you saw here yourselves here in Alaska, he was a part of us down in Vermont too. We're going to miss him. We're going to miss him a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Debbie. Yes, I'm a lot older than I look. Get the glasses on. What was that, Tom? There are. I'll let John Gadbois came up to Alaska in the military, and I'll basically I'll let him tell his story, but John is an electrical engineer and works for John Deere in their mining division, and so It's a lot of mining in South Africa, and this trip came up, and he and his wife were unable to make it. I've always enjoyed being around Sandy. I was just a nephew from across the country, but traveling out to see Sandy always created a warm memory of the time we spent together and the many adventures he took me on. Sandy treated me like a son and was always so happy when I'd come to Alaska and visit him. He was the first to take me out on his boat, teach me the ropes of salmon and halibut fishing, which I knew nothing about, but he always was eager to teach me. If there was anything a guy would have on his bucket list for Alaska, I knew Sandy would be able to make it happen. He took me out to Swan Island as a young man, and there I shot my first deer. I loved going to the cabin with him and his buddies and being part of the true wild and remote Alaska. Sandy would cook for us and set up all the gear we needed whenever we went out to the cabin so that our time would be fun and rewarding. He was always a great storyteller. That is very true, because he had so many rich and interesting experiences to entertain us with. I dearly miss those times I spent with him, with Sandy, and as time goes on, I often think of the ways I could get back to Alaska to spend time with him again. Quite a few years back, after I left the military, I found myself in a bad situation due to a problem I had with using alcohol. I managed to get in trouble with the authorities, and so was court ordered to probation and rehab program. Sandy heard about my situation and reached out to help me to get me straightened out. He had compassion for me and allowed me even more to move in and live with him and Suzanne and start college classes. He was such a great encouragement to me and was truly a mentor figure to me during those difficult times. I'm so grateful to Uncle Sandy to be strong and supportive of me when I needed someone who actually cared and wanted me to succeed and be happy in life. Sandy is a wonderful man and is so often selfless, and would always step up to the occasions when he saw that there was a need with family, friends, or out in the community. I will always have loving memories of my dear uncle. And that's from John Gadbois. And with that, I will turn it over to my daughter and son, Curtis Williams and Aaron Brenner. And they weren't born in that order. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah. So, yeah, we have a few things up our sleeve, and one of them is I reached out to Norwich, the college that he always talked about, and tried to get Aaron to play at, despite not playing hockey.
So they have a great women's ice hockey team, except I don't play hockey. But they have a great women's ice hockey team.
So they say Sandy of Douglas, Alaska, passed away February 2nd, 2025. Graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering. He was a member of the Winter Carnival Committee, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, Sigma Nu, cross country and track. Sandy was also a dedicated contributor to the school and gave his time, talent, and treasure whenever possible. We're grateful for the time he spent visiting high schools in Alaska to encourage the next generation to consider his alma mater. We extend our heartfelt thanks to his extended family for sharing him with us. We hope fond memories will help ease the pain in this difficult time. The Norwich community's thoughts are with Sandy's family, friends, and classmates. And that's from the Senior Director of Giving at Norwich.
So we thought we kind of would just share some little quips about memories we have with Grandpa, kind of growing up here. For those of you who don't know, we really grew up in Washington, but we used to spend weeks up here every summer with Grandma and Grandpa. And so certainly a lot of memories over the years, and obviously hard to put into one small speech about how, what a legend he was and how much he meant to us, but we'll do our best. So
And my notes are on my phone, which is currently streaming this, which is why I sent you that email. So
Okay, yeah, good. I'll do the best we can. So I guess we'd start off, obviously, the cabin is like most of you kind of know a lot about that. Certainly many, many memories about the cabin, learning to fish and, shoot out there the right way with open sights and a little pencil with a target. But I would say probably starting off with stewing over the supply list, completely taking over the garage, every corner of the garage, and probably half the downstairs, much to Grandma's chagrin. And as Vic alluded to, being at Ward Air so early that they weren't even open yet.
yeah, we were doing stuff this week in preparation, and I said, I'm leaving an hour early, but I'm my grandfather's grandson, so
exactly, because there might be traffic here in Juneau, right? Yeah. Let's see. You always knew you were going to get camp spaghetti.
Yep, and then pilot bread with parquet butter.
He always had, true to his roots as an engineer, many a rigged up system, jerry rigged all over, the hangers with the pulley system, the rollers to get the boat in and out of the shed, rigged up the wood stove to an oil drum so we didn't have to feed it with wood all night long.
And then from there, the light.
And then the lights all the way up and around, yep. Getting skunked many a time in cribbage. I believe I was 10 the first time he started playing cutthroat with me, and never let us off easy. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and another thing he jerry rigged was a bear kind of tore through the cabin, and he said, "Well, that's enough of that," and he put a bunch of nails through a door, and just he would close the regular door, then put up the spike door to tell him to get.
And I think probably my favorite line from him was, "You catch it, you clean it." So I'm trying to think. I was probably at least about 10 by the time I cleaned my first outlet out there. So, all right, sports. All right, so obviously Dad alluded to his 4-sport athlete, but lifelong sports fan. Certainly, this is something Curtis and he connected with a lot.
Yeah. So Grandpa and I always rooted for Boston unless they were playing Seattle, which is where I'm from, and he loved watching the Seahawks, and then most recently the Kraken. He really enjoyed that they got a hockey team. Obviously, hockey is sort of more of a native sport up here, and I think he really enjoyed watching them. It haven't given him the best results, but when they win, he'll be happy.
Oh yeah.
And we went to. I was going to say for his 80th birthday, we Dad rented out a suite at the Seattle stadium and baseball stadium, and we got to watch the Red Sox and the Mariners play. And I think it was a 1-0 game. Boston hit a home run in like the first or second inning, and the rest of the game is just boring. But but my favorite memory from that was we got there early, and away teams, you get to see their batting practice, and so Big Papi, David Ortiz, was hitting home runs, just crushing them out to right field. He was hitting the glass. It was like 450 feet away, and Grandpa always called him Big Pappy. I didn't have the heart to ever correct him, or if I did, he didn't hear it. But he always called him Pappy's got another one. And we actually went in 2003. We took a guys trip sort of to see our roots, and it was a year before the Red Sox won, and we saw a game in August, and it was just such a classic Fenway late night game. Went into extras. Ortiz hit 2 home runs, and the Red Sox came back, and I think Schilling closed it out. So we got to share those memories. Unfortunately, Dad left his camera in a cab, so we don't have many pictures from that trip.
Oh yeah. I guess one of my favorite sports memories with Grandpa, obviously, he was a runner and ran almost several times weekly. He had a goal to run 1,000 miles every year for many years. But one thing that he was always really proud of is one summer, myself and Michael and Grandpa, we all ran the Perseverance 5K, and we all got first place in our respective age categories. And he was always pretty proud of that. So, okay. 4th of July. We were always here for the 4th because Grandma and Grandpa love the 4th of July. I'm going to guess maybe more than Christmas. on the Douglas 4th of July committee, big time. But I just always remember big barbecues and celebrations, including sometimes exploding root beer bottles.
Yes.
Yeah. We used to make homemade root beer, and sometimes the bottles would explode. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we would participate in the relays down on the fields at Sandy Beach, and I was the 2-time champion of the hot watermelon eating contest.
And then always fireworks on the Reddies or Carl Roger's boat. That was always a big highlight of the 4th.
I distinctly remember always there was a firefighters versus a policeman's
Yeah.
softball game, and that was always a really big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess some of my sort of final big ones, obviously a lot of people alluded to, he always had just the best stories, countless. I couldn't even do it justice, but certainly always talking about hunting and fishing stories, his pranks with Jim Bradley and many others. And then showing up in a kilt at the final dinner on the Scotland Senior Softball USA Tour. He was pretty proud of that one. For me, I think kind of picked up Grandma and Grandpa's green thumb, and so always his tomatoes and potatoes, his greenhouse, getting all kinds of gardening tips from my own yard, and always take that with me.
Yeah, I mean, one final funny story. Grandpa was very, very humble. He came from humble roots, and when I think of like my life now, I always think of like my mom's dad and my dad's dad, where they came from, and just how they've created a family that's thriving. And so Grandpa's humble, and I remember we would have them over at our house in Federal Way when we used to live there, and we got a new like guest mattress, and it was only then that we realized that Grandpa called the futon that they had been sleeping on the bleep bleep bed because it was not comfortable. But Grandpa never said anything. Never said anything. He didn't want to put someone out by saying something. But and one of the other things I guess that we didn't touch on is Grandpa would be driving us around town, and he'd start honking and flashing his lights, and he'd pull people over just to talk to them on the side of the road, or we'd be expediting getting groceries and supplies for the cabin, and he'd stop to talk for 25 minutes with someone, and we're little kids like, come on, Grandpa. So
Yeah, I mean, he really just was an amazing example of such a true community spirit. He volunteered, and from the Master Gardeners, the Community Garden, the Johnson Youth Center, Douglas 4th of July Committee, Rotary, engineers groups, and just more than I even probably know about. He just was always willing to lend a hand and organize and donate money and time and whatever was needed. So I think you have that one letter for me. I just have my one final story I have to tell very quickly. I took a little trip back to Boston. Never been there before, and with a friend in 2008. And so I was all excited. I had to go. Okay, Grandpa loves the Red Sox. All right, so I scalped tickets off the street, and we go to Fenway. And I'm so excited. I do the whole thing. I'm all excited. We did Sweet Caroline, and I can't wait. And I called Grandpa as soon as the game's over. Grandpa, I went to a game at Fenway. And he goes, they lost 15-2 to Toronto. You're never allowed to go back, right?
oh my goodness, I need to look up that quote.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You want me to read this first?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Curtis, I don't know what this is. Curtis told me I had to read it.
I'm the only one that knows.
He's the only one that knows, and I don't know what this is. Okay.
You're down.
Oh, wow. Okay. Dear Mrs. Williams and family, my wife Rose and I extend our sincerest condolences on the loss of your beloved husband and father, Sandy. We hope you can find peace and comfort in the memories of your life together and the remarkable legacy he leaves behind. Wallace Sandy Williams was a man of deep dedication who made Alaska his home in 1959 and spent decades serving its people with quiet strength and unwavering commitment. His work with the Department of Transportation helped lay the foundation for the state's growth and future. Beyond his professional life, Sandy poured his energy into his community, giving generously of his time to youth sports, civic service, and the board of directors of Douglas Island Pink and Chum, DIPAC. He was a steady, guiding presence to his family and neighbors, and his impact can be seen and felt throughout Juneau and beyond. His legacy of love, perseverance, and service lives in the hearts of his children and grandchildren and all who had the privilege of knowing him. We know the loss of a loved one is never easy to bear, but please know that you and our family are in our thoughts and prayers. Sincerely, Mike Dunleavy, Governor.
And you can clap. So the last thing, again, this quote I had on my phone that's streaming this. I had a quote from Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a concentration camp survivor, and he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And I thought about that book when thinking about Grandpa and where he came from and where he is now, and all these people that are here for him. And I thought he'll probably have a quote that somewhat approximates Grandpa. So the quote is, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances, to choose one's own way."
Thank you, everyone. Again, we're going to end with a couple songs. When we're done, we can tell stories. Stick around. We have some food and drinks. Share stories. There's one that comes to mind that I do have to share, and my kids brought it up. We had my parents' 50th wedding anniversary here at DIPAC, and some of you may have come to that. Well, we kind of timed it around, Dad invited me to go caribou hunting up in Kotzebue. And he goes, yeah, we got to do it. We'll go up September 10th and we'll go. I go, you sure you want to do that date? He goes, yeah, that's the perfect timing. I said, you got an anniversary, don't you, on the 12th? Yeah, on the 12th. Yeah, but yeah, we can go up. And I go, isn't it like 50 years? Oh, yeah. Well, we can still. I go, no, it's hold on. Anyway, we had the anniversary. So Dad goes, yeah, next morning we can go. I said, no. My deal has always been with Dad. I've had to really push it that, yeah, I'm going hunting with you, but Mom gets a day or two with me too. I don't just come and go out hunting. So the next day, Dad's going to go up a day early. I'm going to go the next day. And so it's like 9 a.m. Dad's got the car packed up and he heads off to the airport, flying to Kotzebue. So about 11 o'clock, 2 hours later, Kathy and Aaron are about to fly back to Seattle. And so as I'm dropping them off at the airport, I go, say hi to Dad. What? He left 2 hours. I go, yeah, his plane leaves after yours. True. We will turn it over to our bagpipers and we'll go from there. And We will have a slideshow starting up. I just would, if anyone wants to say anything. Brad, yes, no. Brad, please. As Brad's making his way up, Brad's my college roommate, and he came up one spring break for me, and we ran ragged. I was just dead on the plane. We're flying back, and he goes, I'm moving to Alaska. Yeah, let me sleep. I'm moving to Alaska. Yeah. Year we graduated, that July. I got a job. I'm moving to Anchorage. I told him, you're still not in Alaska yet, but you're closer.
So I'm going to work a little bit backwards. I want to go back to the Boston Red Sox Mariners game for Sandy's 80th. So Jody and I flew down, and we're getting ready. We're milling about in the lobby of the hotel, getting ready to walk to the game. And Sandy's down there, and he looks, and he sees Jody and I, and goes, well, what are you doing here? I said, I heard it's your birthday. I said, we're here for a game. And it was a tremendous thing that Rusty and Kathy had done for him, you know, having the box suite. But I had never seen a man walk so fast to a game at 80 years old. And I can't remember if he was using the cane or not, but he was moving, and he was trying to stay ahead of the rest of us because he didn't want us to see him cry. So anyway, back to college. Rusty was my first college roommate. We were at Washington State together. He came down from Juneau, and I came from Great Falls, Montana. And so we were both out of state. And so anyway, for spring break, Rusty goes, well, why don't you come up to Juneau and, you know, I'll show you Alaska. So I didn't know what I was getting into, but we got, you know, we flew up on Alaska Airlines. Flight was late. Well, Sandy had arranged for us to do a cruise to Tracy Arm, I believe it was, to go see the glacier on a little cruise ship. So we missed the boat, but we didn't. He chartered a Channel Air de Havilland Beaver, flying us to the boat in transit. We land, get off the airplane, onto the boat. People think we're rock stars. Maybe not Rusty, but they definitely thought I was. So anyway, I had the time of my life. And I said, Rusty, don't be surprised if I don't end up here someday. I said, I love this. And so it's true, I got a job in Anchorage. My wife and I have been there for the last 42 years. And we got married, Jody and I got married on September 1st in 1984. Well, we had sent a wedding announcement to Sandy and Suzanne, and I get a call from Sandy. He goes, Brad. He goes, congratulations on your pending marriage. He says, do you know what September 1st is? And I said, yeah, I'm getting married. He goes, no, that's opening day of moose season. He said, on your 5th anniversary, do you know what September 1st is going to be? Yeah, my 5th anniversary. It's going to be opening day of moose season. What are you thinking?
Anyone else? Yeah, please. You can stand there too. You don't have to come up here.
I'm Ed Byerski.
Ed, yes.
We moved to Juneau. Yeah, we hunted with Rusty down there at the cabin. Great memories there. And moved to Juneau in '92 and found out I wanted to be involved in gardening. Found out Sandy and many others were working on prospective community and worked with them. Watched it grow, literally grow, and grow lots more people, more gardens. I mean, it's kind of a new thing somebody helped me with on saving the world one garden at a time. Went moose hunting with Sandy or to Gustavus. And we stayed in the Bear Track Inn because it was so the least rustic camp you could ever stand if you've ever been there. Had a great time. We walk out. Second morning, we beat the neighboring cabin out onto the flats. They were still having their last cup of coffee. And walked out, and there was a nice little waiting for me. And I dropped him, and Sandy was down the slew ways. Anyway, came over, and we started butchering and getting ready to pack. I remember Sandy, and I'm in my, I think I was figuring in 56, 57, 72. And watched him load a hind quarter, maybe it was a shoulder, on this fiber trapper's pack and pack it back across the creek back to this beautiful place we stayed at. Damn, he's a couple. And just, he always amazed me. You know, the stuff he did, gardening and hunting and fishing and other stuff. Incredible. Incredible. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anything?
Let the record reflect the Red Sox won today, 7-3.
It will be noted. I'm sure. All right, well, food is self-serving. We have water. There's coffee here. I guess it's hard to find sugar at the stores right now, so there is sugar from for your coffee if you'd like that from Williams' household. So enjoy yourself with that, and we can start. Am I forgetting anything? Okay. That. Thank you very much. Thank all of you.
He was a giant when I was just a kid. I was always trying to do everything he did. I can still remember every lesson he taught me. Growing up, learning how to be like my old man. He was a lion. We were a father's pride, but I was defiant when he made me walk the line. He knew how to lift me up and when to let me fall. Looking back, he always had a plan. My old man. My old man, feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls. My old man, now I finally understand. I have a lot to learn from my old man. Now I'm a giant, got a son of my own. He's always trying to go everywhere I go. Do the best I can to raise him up the right way, hoping that he someday wants to be like his old man. I know one day we'll meet again. As he's looking down, my old man, I hope he's proud of who I am. I'm trying to fill the boots of my old man. My old man.
You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. So she took her love for to gaze a while among the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? And you can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. I never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I've broken, but I swear in the days still left, we'll walk in fields of gold. We'll walk in fields of gold. Some that I've broken, but I swear in the days still left, we'll walk in fields of gold. We'll walk in fields of gold. Ooh. Since those summer days among the fields of barley, see the children run as the sun goes down, as you lie in fields of gold. You remember me when the west wind moves among the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky when we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold. When we walked in fields of gold.
when I get where I'm going, on the far side of the sky, the first thing that I'm gonna do is spread my wings and fly. I'm gonna land beside a lion and run my fingers through his mane, where I might find out what it's like to ride a drop of rain. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. I'm gonna walk with my granddaddy, and he'll match me step for step, and I'll tell him how I've missed him every minute since he left. And then I'll hug his neck. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. So much pain and so much darkness in this world we stumble through. All these questions I can't answer, and so much work to do. But when I get where I'm going, and I see my Maker's face, I'll stand forever in the light of His amazing grace. Yeah, when I get where I'm going,
Oh, when I get where I'm going,
there'll be only happy tears. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm
Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ship. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs, redemption songs, redemption songs. Old pirates, yes, they rob I, sold I to the merchant ships. Minutes after they took I from the bottomless pit. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Yes, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs. All I ever had, redemption songs. These songs of freedom, songs of freedom.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
He was a giant. I was just a kid. I was always shy.